You're welcome back to JoyNews Prime. Now, in less than 40 minutes, the highly anticipated JoyNews special assignment documentary, Scars of the Revolution, will be airing across the multimedia platforms, radio, TV, and online. The documentary highlights human rights abuses under military regimes with a lot of emphasis on the June 4, 1979 revolution. The 90-minute documentary, you will hear from people who played a role in the revolution, as well as those who were victims. There were others, such as myself, who were close enough to observe some happenings, but not old enough to appreciate what was going on. At 5 years old, I was terrified at the sight of a soldier scaling into our house in Osu, here in Accra, from the next house, which was a block of flats housing military officers. Some 40 years on, I invited a few of my neighbors and my sister, who was old enough to recall events of that day, to join me at that soldier's flat to relive the experience. I was a toddler of about 5 years old, 1979, and I was living in this house right there. What I recall is that I was standing in the hall looking out of the window, and there were soldiers. I knew there was a lot of commotion going on around here. And there were soldiers that had come to stand right here behind this wall, and they were looking into the house. I was observing, and then the moment I saw one of the soldiers with a gun on his back attempt to jump, scale over the wall, I fled and went to hide under my mother's bed. That's all I recall of the story. But there was a lot that happened, and there were some who were old enough to recollect exactly, and probably brave enough to observe what was happening. And so I brought them together. These are old neighbors of mine. All right, so 2 old neighbors and my sister here. So you can say a family and friends edition of the Scars of the Revolution. So I'll start off with my sister to tell us what she recalls when I fled under the bed.
On that fateful day, we went to school, and then after everything, we came.
Which school is this?
Edinburgh International School, close to former Penta Hotel.
So right here in Osu.
Yeah, so they called us back to assembly, and they were like, someone has staged a coup, and that we were all supposed to go home. We left, and on our way home, walking from that side towards Papaye to this place, we heard people talking about the coup, but we didn't know what it was because we were kids. So we came home, and
what was the mood in town?
Everywhere was quiet. Everywhere was quiet. There were no cars. Everywhere was quiet, dead silent. So we hurriedly came home. And then when we got home, we entered home, myself and my big sister. We entered the house. And then not long after, we had the soldiers with their trucks. I mean, they came in, they followed each other, and they just came making a lot of noise, shooting all over. And then we were scared, so we had to run into the house. And they started shouting that everybody should come down. Right. Everybody should come down from the next house.
Before you carry on with that part of the story, it's important that I let the viewers know why we're actually here. So this building that you see behind us, growing up, we called it Soldiers' Flat, because it housed a number of military officers. So there are about 6 units in there, so all of them had military officers. So on the day of the coup, clearly this was a place of interest. So you tell us the rest of the story.
Okay, so when they entered, we were in our house, they started shooting. They were just going around the whole neighborhood, and they were asking people to come down. But everybody was scared.
Do you recall how they were, the announcement?
Yeah, they were like, they started with the military officers, so they were like, all majors should come down. And then they would start shooting, you know, and then they started saying, oh, everybody should come down, all other officers should come down, everybody should come down. But nobody was coming down. So from that side of the house, we came out, and then my grandpa, who was then alive, Mr. E.T. Odote, came out of the house. And because one of the soldiers had come to entered our house, so he asked him why the commotion and everything, and he was like, there's a coup, and a lot of the soldiers here had not reported there.
Okay.
So they were looking for them.
They are not reported probably to headquarters or Burma camp in this case.
So they were looking for them. That's why they came. They are around, but they are not interested in civilians. They were looking for soldiers, and I think they thought probably some of them might have escaped through the back stairs. There's a stairs at the back. So they felt they might have gone to the neighbor's house. So they came to our side of the wall to check if there were people there. And then my grandpa told them that nobody was there, so he had to come back. And then they continued with their stuff inside here.
I also have with me another gentleman who, well, he lived in the neighborhood, and he also had some recollection, or he has some recollection of events of that day. And so he's going to tell us what he recalls. So what do you recall on that day?
That day was a very silent and bad day. And what I recall was that I was around, I think, 17 years by then, and I was walking around the Tesako, around the Oxford Street, the main road. And there's soldiers in their peace goer. There's a white man also coming towards them. They immediately stopped the white man. The man stopped immediately. They all come up from the peace goer with their guns and whatever it is, and then they ask him to get down from the car. The man quickly came down from the car. They started brutalizing him, knocking the man with their gun, the back of the gun. The man started bleeding. In fact, I was scared because the man was innocent. He's a civilian, and I don't know what happened, and I don't know whether he's a wanted man by the military. He stood up from the car, bleeding. They get inside the car, and then they put away with his car and a peace goer. The man was holding his head, and he didn't know even what to do. So I was, as a young guy, I was looking at it, and we were all scared. And it's a very bad day for me.
All right. Do you recall any of the events that happened around here?
Yes, the event I recall here was that fateful morning, it was drizzling. It was drizzling, and then I learned the soldiers have come around, so we were all checking, watching whether we would see any of the soldiers. We saw them with their peace goer driving around the street, patrolling all the streets, you know, and everybody was scared. So they were targeting there's a military house
another flat
there. So I learned they are looking for one Major Sin team. And they came there. We were all peeping what is going on there, watching around there. And they entered the house. They started shouting, and the ladies, I think the military officers, their wives came down from the house, and they were, shooting all over. And, we all ran because we were scared, and we don't know what happened.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
All right, so I have one other neighbor here, and she lived in the other flat right there, called Museum Flat. So we have the military flat and the museum flat. And so that was where she lived, in room 4, I recall. Yes. So what is your recollection of events of that day?
That day, every place was quiet, but the way the soldiers were patrolling here from up and down. Then Parliament too has just gone on recess, work to do.
Just a quick note, she used to work with Parliament.
I planned with a friend that we are going to work that morning. So when he just stayed around Osu Awi.
Yeah, Papaya, around Papaya there.
That he should come and call me when he's ready. So I was waiting. And these peace goers, I called the person that, I'm ready. He said, he will come. Then later, some Peace Corps, about 2 or 3, came inside. They started shouting, "Everybody, come out, come out, come out from your flats, come out." And somebody from our end here, the museum flat, shouted, "We are civilians." And the soldiers answered, "Whether you are civilians or what, calm down." I say, "Calm down." That moment, we were all shocked. Where do we go? So everybody finds somewhere to hide. We didn't come out. Nobody came out from our flat. Nobody. Then they entered this place, the soldier line flat. We were there, and then we saw them bringing some ladies from upstairs. Because when we were staying here, we used to put our dustbins around this side and this side, the soldiers one. Then they said when they were coming from for the dustbins, we were standing up there and shouting, "Pick this, pick this, pick this. Now it's your turn."
So you mean some of the soldiers who came probably came here previously or before then to get refuse out?
Yes.
And the wives of the military officers were yelling at them and ordering them about. So that day was their day.
Come out, come out. And they brought some. They were made to sit around here. We were in our listening and then watching. They
were made to sit here?
Yeah.
So they lined them up on the floor?
Yeah. They sat there.
Well, Scars of the Revolution will air in just about 25 minutes. We're taking a break, but you heard references made to Peace Corps during the narration, and that's it. That's the Peace Corps. These were the military vehicles we're making reference to.